Embryonic stem cells are dangerous medically. They have certain ethical issues, so we do not use embryonic stem cells. You also get stem cells from the umbilical cord. These are now being saved at birth. And, certain hospitals and institutes use those. We don't use those because those cannot be injected directly into the spinal fluid and brain. They have to be connected intravenously and they have got preservatives. We prefer to use what are called adult stem cells. These are stem cells from the patient itself. So I want to emphasize that we use everything I'm going to talk about is adult stem cells. Adult stem cells are stem cells from the patient itself, from the child itself. All right. So we work with adult stem cells because they are completely safe. They don't form tumors. They don't get rejected. It's very easy to get them. You get them from a single needle prick, and there are no ethical issues about its use. How do we inject stem cells? So that's the beauty of stem cells. To put them back, you don't need any operation or surgery. You just need a needle prick. So like here, you can inject it intrathecally into the spinal fluid in the lower back from where it goes to the brain. You could also inject it intravenously, intramuscularly, intraarterially, etc. So there are different ways of giving stem cells, but they are all through needle pricks. So stem cell therapy, basically, if I had to summarize in a single sentence, we are using healthy cells to replace damaged cells. So here you can see these are damaged cells. Because of autism, if you give stem cells, the damage goes away. So what's the scientific basis for stem cell therapy? So we all are aware that the highest recognition in medicine is something called the Nobel Prize. And 3 times in a 15-year span between 1990 and 2015, 1990, 2007, 2012, the Nobel Prize, which is the highest recognition in medicine, went to stem cell research. What's the scientific base of the work that we do? Well, we have over 100 scientific papers. There are chapters in medical textbooks like this book on recent advances in autism. This has got a chapter on stem cell therapy in autism, and that has been written by us. There's this book on cerebral palsy, challenges for the future. It's got a chapter of stem cell therapy for cerebral palsy. Again, this chapter has been written by us. There's this book on physical disabilities, where the chapter on stem cell therapy for pediatric neurological disabilities, this is also written by us. This book on muscular dystrophy, published by Avid Science, there's a chapter, stem cell therapy for muscular dystrophy. This again is written by us. So in India, at the highest level, we have a government that is supportive of stem cells. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi, when he went to Japan, he actually visited the stem cell therapy center of Professor Yamanaka, who won the Nobel Prize for stem cells. In India too, whenever he gets an opportunity, he will visit stem cell facilities. This is myself with the Prime Minister presenting him a copy of a book that we wrote, for which he has written an introduction. So here is a book. It's in our local language. And the Honorable Prime Minister has written an introduction to a book which I have written, and that is a matter of great pride for us. Here we just like to show you a small video of the Prime Minister talking in the Indian Parliament.
स्टेम सेल के अंदर जो रिसर्च की है, मैंने जितना पढ़ा था तो मेरे मन में आया था शायद इनकी खोज हमारे काम आ सकती है। हम गए तो वहां गए, उनसे चर्चा की, और बेंगलोर के हमारे साइंस इंस्टीट्यूट के साथ आज उस दिशा में हमारा काम हो रहा है कि स्टेम सेल्स के द्वारा हमारे युवा साइंटिस्ट कुछ खोज करें।
So that was the Prime Minister of India speaking in Indian Parliament about stem cells. So let's see how this treatment is done. The beauty of this treatment is the sheer simplicity in doing the treatment. So there are 3 steps to it. In the first step, we put a needle into the pelvic bone just above the hip bone, and we aspirate the fluid from the bone, which is called bone marrow. This takes about 15 minutes. We give the child local anesthesia so there is no pain, and we give sedation so the child is sleeping. Then we take this bone marrow to our laboratory where we filter it and separate the stem cells. And once the stem cells are separated through a very thin needle, we inject it into the lower spine, and from the fluid in the lower spine takes it directly to the brain. So in the whole process, there are only two needle pricks. With one needle prick, we take out the stem cells, and with the second needle prick, we input the stem cells. And what are we putting inside? Cells from our own body, from the child's own body. So there is nothing from the outside. This is natural healing. This is the way God had meant the body to heal. We are just supporting that process. So here's a video of how we do the process. You can see this. See, this is the bone marrow aspiration. That's the child is sleeping. You can see we take this bone marrow to our laboratory. Here we run it through various machines. It gets filtered. And then with a very thin needle, we inject it into the lower spine. So we'll just see this video one more time. So with the needle, we are aspirating bone marrow. You can see here, we take this to our laboratory. It is put through machines like centrifuges. We have sophisticated machines that count the number of cells, etc. And then with this thin needle, we inject it into the lower back. So only two needle pricks. Again, this is how we aspirate. We take it to the laboratory, and this is how we inject with a single needle prick. So let's look basically at autism. I understand from the feedback I've got that the majority of parents here have children with either autism or cerebral palsy. So we're going to focus a little bit more on autism. We all know what autism is. It is defined now as a spectrum disorder, which could be mild, moderate, or severe. Boys have it 4 times more than girls. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder. The incidence of autism is increasing tremendously. In 2004, 1 out of 166 children had it. But in 2018, it has gone up to 1 in 59, and now it has even become more than that. So there has been a 3-fold increase in the incidence of autism in just 15 years, which means there are 70 million people with autism on the planet. That's 1% of the world's population. Yes, you heard that correctly. 1% of the world's population today has autism. So we've never ever seen any illness or disease increase so rapidly in children when we if you look at autism, there's no other condition like this at all. The main problems in autism are they have a problem with their communication, they have problem with repetitive behavior, and they have issues with their social interaction. A combination of these three makes up most of their symptoms. So what is new? Why are we doing this webinar? What is new is today we have a better understanding of autism. We know what is happening. 15, 20 years ago, people didn't even know what was happening in the brain. You just made a diagnosis and then sort of, just told them to rehab. Nothing can be done for a child. But today we know what's happening in their brains. We know which parts of the brains are affected, how they are affected. And we also know how to correct it. And we have a new treatment, which is stem cell therapy. So this is a scan. It's called a PET-CT scan, where the blue is the part that's damaged, which is inactive, it is weak, it is functioning less than normal. And we have done this scan in over 3,000 children with autism, and every child of autism shows brain damage in this blue color, like you see here, every single child. And we did a research project where we did these scans of normal children also, and not a single normal child had this kind of brain damage. So now for the first time, we know why our children have autism, because there's a part of their brain that's not functioning appropriately. So when you come to us for treatment, the first step is we do the scan and we show you what's happening to your child's brain. And just knowing gives you a lot of freedom. It gives you a lot of clarity. And most important, we know now how to correct or fix this problem. And this work of ours is published, because nobody had even looked at these brains earlier. We showed what the damage is, and in a very prestigious journal, we've published our findings as to what exactly is happening in the brain of children with autism. Now, we found something interesting. If you look at this graphic, so on the right side, SUV is a brain function, and the higher it is, the better it is. And this is the age in years. Now, in blue is a graph of normal children. So you can see normal children from the age of 3, 5, 10, 15, their brain function keeps on increasing in normal children. That's blue. But in children with autism, it keeps on decreasing. You can see the downhill slide. So we've actually shown again, as part of our research, that whereas in normal children, their brain function improves over the years, in children with autism, it keeps coming down. Now, why is this important? This is important because what we want is for our children's brains to also function like this, normal, but they're going like this. So if we correct the problem here, when we correct it about 5 years, between 5 to 10 years, we have to only bridge this gap. But if you wait till about 10 to 15 years, you have to bridge this gap. Obviously, the smaller the gap, the better are the results. So that is the reason for early intervention. A lot of people say, well, let's wait, let stem cells get more established, we'll do it later. The later you do it, the more worse the child's brain is going to get, and the more difficult it will be to get it back on track. So early intervention is the key. Now, over the last 10 years, the autism management is multidisciplinary. So there are a lot of rehabilitation techniques. All of them are listed here. We will quickly run through some of them. So the first step, I spoke to you about stem cell therapy. Second, I'm going to talk about neurorehabilitation. And finally, we will talk about the integrative therapies. So in neurorehabilitation, because all of you are familiar with it, we will rush through it. Some of the most important is something called ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis, which basically believes that every behavior has something that antecedes it and there is a consequence. And by modulating this, you can modulate behavior. We have occupational therapy that all of us are familiar with, which has got different components. There are different parts to occupational therapy, and this has an important role in treating autism. Sensory integration, which is a part of occupational therapy, also plays a very important issue in those children who have sensory issues. And then this is a SI sensory integration room. It's a specially designed room made a particular way for these children. So this is the SI room at our institute. Speech therapy has an exceedingly important role to play because speech is a major issue of children with autism. Most people believe that physiotherapy has no role in autism because they say, well, there's nothing physically wrong with a child, but that's not true. We've actually found that they have physical issues, which is in terms of coordination, clumsiness, tone issues, gait, etc. So they benefit from physiotherapy as well. Then there's aquatic therapy, which we have found very, very useful. We find that now aquatic therapy is not swimming. Aquatic therapy is rehabilitation, but in water. And this has a lot of benefits in coordination, sensory issues, social skills, cognitive behavior, sleep patterns, hyperactivity. So this is something we practice at our hospital. Then there are various art-based therapies. There is music therapy, drama therapy, etc. There are some treatments where we remove heavy metals like chelation, TRS, detox, etc., which may be done in select cases. A lot of people already have used supplements like B6, vitamin C, omega-3, prebiotics, inulin, etc. And there's the NEMCheck formula, and there are various different systems where doctors use this, and all of these are useful, and I say we must use them. Diet has a very important role to play in children with autism. There are foods to eat and there are foods not to eat. The things not to eat is anything which has got sugar, additives, preservatives, and is genetically modified. To eat are anything which is probiotic, prebiotic, ketogenic, gluten, casein-free. There are some other things like, camel milk, curcumin, etc., which are also beneficial. Ketogenic diet is a high-fat, adequate protein, low carbohydrate diet that is very useful in these kids. But despite all this, are we doing enough? And the answer is no. There is still, the patients are still, our children are still symptomatic. They don't get their speech back. They have hyperactivity issues. So here we've treated, this is, of course, we've treated more than 3,000, but this is data from 700 patients, which shows a 89, almost 90% success rate, in which 33% of the patients have significant improvement. That means they are no more on the autism spectrum. Their autism has been reversed in 33% of the cases. 29% have a moderate improvement, 20%, 25 have mild, and 10% don't improve. Now, of course, in your mind, we all want our kids to be here, right? In the significant improvement. We want them to get off the spectrum. So we found that this happens in kids who are less than 11 years. basically kids before puberty, because we find that if you do it before puberty, we get wonderful results. If you do it after puberty, you may be in the moderate or mild category. And all the children who did not improve, the 11%, they were all over 20 years, which means that the results have a clinical correlation. You do this below 10, 11 years, you can have a significant improvement. You do it, you do it between 10 and 20, you can have a moderate to mild. You do it after 20, you may not have any improvement. So this is the importance of early intervention. Now, on what basis am I saying that stem cell therapy works for autism? It works because we've got our data, we've done what is called statistical analysis, and we have shown significant improvements in the statistics with all our patients. And this is objective proof. So on top is an MR, is a PET CT scan, in which the blue is the damage, and below is the same child 6 months after stem cells. And you can see, if you compare the above and the below, that the damage is almost completely gone. So we have objective proof, and we've got over 3,000 scans like this of children with autism, another 2,000 odd scans of children with cerebral palsy, more with intellectual disability. I'm just showing you 2 or 3, but this is the proof. This is the most important slide of my talk, because above you see brain damage in blue color. And then we give this child stem cells, and below in 6 months, you can see that the damage is resolved. So autism is reversible. The damage in the brain of these children is reversible. And once the damage is reversible, our children's symptoms will automatically reduce. So change. So here, So here again, there's another scan where you can see the blue, that is the damage before, and you can see after stem cells, the damage is gone. You can see the damage, and here again, you can see the damage before, and you can see afterwards, it is gone. Now, some people question, they said, well, we do scans, how do you know after 3-4 years the damage doesn't come back? So in a few children, we did serial scans over the years, like this is 2012, 13, 14, and we showed that the improvement is sustained and it gets progressively better over time. It does not reverse. So we've actually shown the long-term stability of this treatment. Our work is published in scientific journals. So the world's first paper, the world's first paper on stem cell therapy in autism was written by us. And here you can see that paper. You can see my name. This paper was open label proof of concept study published in Stem Cell International, which for the very first time showed that the damage of the brains of children with autism can be reversed. And after our first paper, the second paper came from China, the third from Italy, and the fourth and fifth paper came from America. So this is something where we are definitely leading the way. And apart from this initial first paper, we have 16 more papers. Now we've had children being treated from all over the world, and we normally show one video from each continent, one from America, one from Europe, one from Africa, Asia, but since we've lost time, we will look at only one video. Maybe we can look at the one from America. So here's a child from the United States, from Kentucky. His father is a doctor and his mother is a nurse. And let's see the changes after stem cell.
With me, I couldn't get him to give me eye contact. Over time, he started to lose a lot of vocabulary. Right around 18 months to the age of 2 years, he just slid backwards.
He would flap like that. He would walk on his tiptoes, look at the wall and talking to the wall. He had problems with eye contact. He'd never look you straight in the eye. He had problems with his speech. So research and found out about NeuroGen. But the big question that I had in my own mind was, what is there to lose? And I could not come up with a good answer. And I said, we have to do it.
We started seeing better eye contact, definitely a difference in his engagement with us, with his siblings, his mood. He's so much calmer. Now he's all about taking his own shower. I have to just prompt him to get out, but he'll wash himself and he'll put his clothes on. It's all the PET scan images we just, I can't tell you the word, we were just so excited and thrilled. The areas that were hypoactive or non-active were warm. There was activity there. Ganesh has gone from the 3rd grade, 4th month reading level to a 7th grade, 1st month reading level in 5 months.
So here was a child who could not speak, who was in a special school from America, who is not only back into a normal school, but is getting A+ grades. So that's the miracle of stem cells. So now we'll quickly look at cerebral palsy. Now in cerebral palsy also there is brain damage, but the effect is more on the body. It's a physical affliction more than a mental or cognitive one like an autism. So there are different types of cerebral palsy. You could have one side affected, all the 4 hands and limbs affected. So there are different descriptions given to the types of cerebral palsy. Hemiplegia, diplegia, quadriplegia, agitoid, dystonic, and ataxic, and it depends on which part of the brain is damaged. And here you can see that the blue, that the damage is far more extensive in cerebral palsy than it is in autism. There are some treatments available, like spastic drugs. There's management for pain. There are some procedures which we can do. There are neurosurgical and orthopedic procedures that can correct them, but none of this restores the brain function. So for this, what is our clinical results? So you can see these are our clinical results where 91% of the patients have improved, 20% have a significant improvement, 41% moderate, 30% mild, and 9% don't improve at all. So, and these are the symptoms. Their oromotor, their drooling disappears, their balance, their upper limb, lower limb movements, muscle tone, ambulation, all of these things, they improve. And here is a scan above. You can see the damage in blue, and after the treatment, you can see that the blue is reduced. Here you can see again on the left side, the significant amount of blue in brain damage in a CP child. And after stem cells is gone. It's completely gone. So that's the miracle of stem cells. It can repair the damage in the brain. And our work is published. It's not the world's first publication. Autism, it is the first, but here is a clinical publication on autologous bone marrow stem cells for cerebral palsy, a new frontier. This is written by us. We have several papers, more papers on cell therapy in cerebral palsy. Here's a video of this child from Kenya, Nairobi. He was a quadriplegic CP. He was totally wheelchair bound when he came to us. He could not use his hands. He could not use his legs. And now see the wonderful movement. Now he's able to use his hands. He can take off his clothes. He can wear it. He can pack his bag. He can charge his mobile. He can open a fridge and get water from it to drink. So there are all these wonderful things he's able to do, which were completely impossible before the stem cell. And now you can see he's walking. So for a child who was totally wheelchair bound, unable to use his hands and legs, today he's walking after the stem cells. So this is the miracle of stem cells. Then very quickly, we'll run through a couple of other conditions. There is muscular dystrophy, which is a condition in which all the muscles start degenerating. And here you can see on the slide above, this is at 5 years, the gray is all muscle. And over a period of time, you can see that the gray keeps disappearing and white comes. White is fat. And by the time of 16 years, there is no muscle at all. It's all fat. So this is, again, at 5 years, you can see all gray. And you can see at 21 years, it's all white. There's no muscle at all. These are our results. We've treated, presently, of course, we've treated over 2,000 patients, but this is our interim result. Now, the significant improvements, those who become normal is very small, it's 4.5, but 35% have a moderate improvement, 20% mild, and 14% remain stable. Now, what you have to remember is that if untreated, all these patients would have died. Untreated in Duchenne muscular dystrophy, they all die. Okay. And 100%, not even 99%. And we are not only saving their lives, but we are giving them functional improvement as well. And here's a comparative study in DMD. You can see the, if you treat with stem cells, they stabilize like this. If you don't treat with stem cells, they deteriorate like this. So this is a comparative study between patients treated with stem cells, and you can see this upper graph, and those who did not take stem cells and how they continue to deteriorate. So this is a comparative study. And this is a scan showing before and after. So above you can see there's all white, all fat, and after the treatment has become gray. So muscles have started regenerating after the treatment. Here's the EMG. Above it shows very weak contraction, and post stem cells there is a very big contraction. And we have several papers, 18 papers on muscular cell therapy and muscular dystrophy. So here's this child from California, USA. When he came to us, he could, he could even stand. He had not stood for 2 years. He could barely crawl. And now you can see, now there, he's barely able to crawl. And after the treatment, after stem cells, he was able to stand and walk. So initially walking came with support. And then slowly he started walking. These look like little steps, but you have to remember he could not walk at all. He could not even stand. So first some walking, then walking on a parallel bar. And now he's walking by himself indoors, and soon you can see he's walking outdoors. So that's the medical for a child who could not stand. And President Obama heard about his improvement in America, and he got an opportunity to visit. He was invited to the White House to meet with the President of the United States, Barack Obama. So that's the miracle of stem cells again. Then intellectual disability. This was earlier referred to as mental retardation. Now we don't use that word. We call it intellectual disability. Here the damages are of a different type. It's more extensive than autism, but it's not as bad as cerebral palsy. And this is our data which shows an 85% success rate, of which 20% is significant, 25 moderate, 30 mild, and 13% don't improve. And these are the symptoms that improve. They're problem solving, social inhibition, toilet training, etc. And here's a scan where above you can see the damage. You can see the damage, and below you can see after the stem cell, the damage is gone. It's completely gone. And here is a paper. Again, this is the world's first paper on stem cell therapy in intellectual disability. It's been written by us, and it's in a very prestigious paper, which is an open label proof of concept study in intellectual disability. We have 3 other papers on ID. Then spinal cord injury. People with road traffic accidents or a fall from a height, their spine gets fractured. They get paralyzed in both their lower legs or sometimes all the limbs. And this is the response. 24% have a significant improvement, 56% have a moderate improvement, 15% mild, and 3% don't improve. And these are the different types of symptoms that improve. That is their spasticity, their tightness, their sensory issues, their bladder, bowel, incontinence, trunk control, etc. And this is a paper published on the role of stem cell therapy in lumbar injury, dorsal lumbar injury. It's an original study. And we have several papers on this, which you can read, which describe the improvements. Then you can have a brain stroke or brain attack, following which the opposite side of the body. So if your brain stroke is on the right side, your left side will get paralyzed. And here our data is much better. 50% of our patients have a significant improvement, 29 moderate, 11% mild, and 3% do not improve. So stroke, the results are very good. And here you can see a scan above. You can see this is the area that is dead. Blue is dead. It's a stroke area. Whereas below, you can see the recovery. So this is because of stem cells. The damage above and below it is cured. And these are our papers published on stroke. In head injury, because of road traffic accidents, you have brain damage. And here are the results, 29% significant, 6% don't improve. And here's a scan before and after. You can see the scan before, and afterwards you can see the damage has been repaired. So this is a head injury patient, damage before. We gave stem cells in 6 months. She was better. And this is our work again published, a pilot study, but this is not the world's first paper, but it is published. And these are our other papers. A disease called motor neuron disease. This is a fatal disease. And 90% of the people die within 5 years. But we are able to help these patients. This is basically because of degeneration of the neurons, and average life expectancy is 2 to 5 years. So here you can see a comparison. We did a comparative study between patients who took stem cell therapy, and we can see that they stabilized like this. And those who did not take stem cell therapy, they deteriorated like this. So those who took stem cell therapy, they stabilized. Those who did not take, they deteriorated. So this is what is called a comparative study. And this comparative study has been published in the American Journal of Stem Cells, another prestigious journal, which tells us the difference between the two. And these are several other papers that we have written. So now, with that, I completed the talk on stem cells. So a question in your mind is, well, if it is so good, what are the side effects? How safe is this treatment? So here's the good news. It's a completely safe treatment. We've done now over 10,000 patients. Yes, you heard me correctly. We've done over 10,000 patients from 70 different countries. And no patient of ours has deteriorated, become worse than before because of stem cells. So there are no major adverse events. There's some minor issues. Those kids who have existing epilepsy, there's a 3% possibility that they may have greater epilepsy in the first 2-3 months. Some kids have a spinal headache, and that lasts for 2 or 3 days. You can have some nausea, local pain, vomiting, etc. So now the last part of our talk is on integrative therapy. So these are based primarily oxygen-based therapies. So this is all the different types of therapies that are available. And the first is something called hyperbaric oxygen. So this is a chamber in which you go inside. You can be with your child inside. If it's an adult, you can be alone. And this gives oxygen under pressure. And so it improves our oxygenation of tissues. So this is called hyperbaric oxygen, or the giving of oxygen under pressure. Then there's something called ozone therapy. So ozone is an activated oxygen. So oxygen is O2 and ozone is O3. So it's got 3 oxygen molecules, which can be released, and that is where it causes improvements. So there are different types in which we can give ozone. You have a chamber, you can go and just sit inside and come out when the time is over. Or we have botulinum toxin, which is then there is in this ozone therapy we have. There are different ways of doing this. So there's the chamber, and then you can, in BOTO, it's called BOTO, where you inhale the ozone. You breathe it in and through this chamber, not botulinum toxin, it's called BOTO. And so the point is there are different ways of giving this, and through this, the brain gets oxygenated. Then a lot of the issues of these children are because of the gut. So we have a gut cleansing protocol called colon hydrotherapy, where again, it is done either physically or with ozone. Then there's whole body cryotherapy. Then there is IV vitamins. So all this work is done at the NeuroGen Brain and Spine Institute. And we've treated over 10,000 patients from 70 different countries. Our core team, apart from me, is Dr. Nandini and Dr. Prerna Bade are the stem cell experts. Dr. Jacob is India's senior most and most respected neurorehabilitation expert. He's 80 years old, but very young and fit, and he coordinates the entire rehab program. Dr. Himangi Sane is a physician, and she has an amazing story. She had motor neuron disease when she was in America. In America, they told her nothing can be done for you. She came to India. I treated her. She was told she has only a few more months to live. But 10 years ago, I treated her. It's 10 years. She's alive and she's well. And she heads our research program. So that's our core team. We believe a lot in quality control. So our facilities have accreditations like good laboratory practice, good manufacturing practice, ISO certifications. We are also certified by the European Medical Association, the EMA, for best medical practices. And this is an important certification, which basically means that our treatment conditions match with European standards. We've written 16 books. We've received several prestigious awards like the Rose of Paracelsus Award, which comes from the Socrates Nomination Committee of Oxford. We received this award from the European Society for Quality Research for best practices, the Best Stem Cell Therapy Center in India at the National Healthcare Awards in 2016. Again, we got this in 2018, the Best Institute for Stem Cell Therapy in India. Now, to help you make the decision, you could visit our website, which is neurogenbsi.com. Neurogen, BSI, that is Brain and Spine Institute.com. You could email us at this address, and we have a response time of less than 30 minutes. You will get a response within 30 minutes. We could have a WhatsApp chat, an audio video call. You could call us at this number that is written, or we could set up a Skype or a audio video interview. Just to let you know that all the people who are attending this are entitled to a free virtual consultation. And you have to call this number for that. So this number listed below, +919920200400. If you call this number, you can have a free of cost virtual consultation, personal consultation with me through a WhatsApp video call. All right. Once you have decided you want to do the treatment, we appoint a coordinator who becomes your one point of contact for everything and will assist you through the entire process till you arrive at NeuroGen. You basically need to arrive on a Sunday. All the evaluations are done on Monday. Tuesday, we give the stem cells. Wednesday to Saturday is the rehabilitation therapy plus the integrative therapies. Now, a lot of people want to know how safe it is to travel to India during these difficult times. So here we have a patient who came to us from Zambia, and let's hear what she has to say.
Via Dar in Tanzania to Mumbai, which is in India. I brought my son to the NeuroGen Institute, Brain and Spine Institute. Yeah, from Zambia to India, I traveled safely. All that is required to guys see for a person around this time of the COVID period to travel is to have the COVID certificates, which I did. We managed to get them on time to travel. So traveling from Zambia to Dar es Salaam was alright. They did not ask a lot of issues other than the exemption certificate from the Neurogen Center. That's the very most important document. That one has got to have in order to travel. Otherwise, they don't allow anyone to play. So once they saw that one, from Lusaka, Zambia, they asked the same even in Mumbai when I arrived for the same thing. The Neurogen team have been very, very excellent in as far as keeping documentation is concerned. They are efficient, they produce the information right on time. They never delay my preparation. I had them on time. The Neurogen Institute Development Center is very, very accommodating staff. In my country, they are just giving visas for medical travel. It doesn't matter where you're going, but it has to be the medical
I mean, that was just to show you a video of a patient who's traveled. So my conclusion is that adult stem cells are a safe and effective treatment option for autism and cerebral palsy and many other pediatric and adult neurological conditions that cause paralysis, for which there are no definite treatments. So you'll notice I said it is a safe and effective treatment. It's completely safe. 10,000 patients, and we've not had any major adverse event or complication. And it is definitely effective. Effective as in you can see changes in your children. Children who cannot talk have started talking. Children from special schools are going to normal schools. Their hyperactivities got come under control. They're getting back into mainstream life.
Scientists believe these tiny cells may have the potential to help us understand and possibly cure some of our most devastating diseases and conditions, to regenerate the severed spinal cord and lift someone from a wheelchair, to spur insulin production and spare a child from a lifetime of needles, to treat Parkinson's, cancer, heart disease, and others that affect millions of Americans and the people who love them. Today, with the executive order I am about to sign, we will bring the change that so many scientists and researchers, doctors and innovators, patients and loved ones have hoped for and fought for these past 8 years. We will lift the ban on federal funding for promising embryonic stem cell research. There's no finish line in the work of science. The race is always with us. The urgent work of giving substance to hope and answering those many bedside prayers, of seeking a day when words like terminal and incurable are potentially retired from our vocabulary.
So I showed that video to show you that the world's two biggest democracies are India and America. And you heard the Prime Minister of India talk about stem cells, and now you hear the President of, the past President of America talk about stem cells. So presidents and prime ministers don't talk about, topics unless they are for larger public interest. So with that, I end my presentation. I'm open to questions. I wish to repeat that you're welcome to ask me whatever questions you want now. But all of you who have attended this are entitled to a free of cost virtual consultation with me at any time over the next 15 days. So you have to call that number on the screen and set up a meeting. In the meanwhile, I'm happy to take any questions. So you could type your questions on the chat, and I can see a question. So I see a question from SS Singh, who says, my problem are the recent findings. This happened way back when I was suffering from back pain, consultation of local doctor in Darbhanga for surgery. I lost sensations. There was a POTS spine, POTS paraplegia. I regained little power. So Mr. SS Singh, looks like you have tuberculosis. You had tuberculosis of the spine. You've had a severe spinal cord injury, and because of the tuberculosis, and we can definitely help you. So we've treated many patients of tuberculosis of the spine with stem cells and rehabilitation program, and they all do very well. We get people back on their feet. They're able to stand without support, and after some time walk with minimal support. So there are a lot of improvements, Mr. Singh. Please, you're welcome to visit us. You can set up a consultation, come to our place, and we will be able to help you for sure. Yeah. Okay. So Juvesh Binong says, my son Nitom is autistic. He's 6 years old. He has poor speech, walks on toes, jumping and shouting meaninglessly. Juvesh, we can definitely treat Nitom. He's 6 years old, so that's the right age to do it. We get the best results when we do it early. He has poor speech, which will improve after stem cells. He walks on his toes, that disappears completely. And his jumping and shouting meaninglessly will also go away. It will take 3 to 6 months, up to a year for improvements, but he will definitely improve. I strongly suggest you reach out to us, and we'll be able to help you. Rithabil Mola Pisani says, how much does the entire treatment for autism cost? Does pre-existing epilepsy get worse? So as far as the cost goes, you have to write to us. We gave you our email address. You can communicate to us, and it's only after we get an evaluation of the child and we decide that you are likely to benefit from stem cells, that our administrative team will discuss costing. I normally do not discuss costing on a webinar. I only discuss medical issues. So we'll be, to get the costing, you'll have to send us an email and we will send you the costing in writing. Does pre-existing epilepsy get worse? So like I showed you in our data, 3% of the children who have pre-existing epilepsy, 3%, their epilepsy can get worse for the first 2 months, only. So 3%, that means out of 100 children, 3 may have a transient worsening of epilepsy. This is only in these children who have epilepsy. Those who don't have epilepsy, there is no problem at all. Yeah. So Liz says, mine is a comment. Come for stem cells in 5 months down the line has gone up greatly. Oh, thank you, Liam. Sure, pleasure to hear from you. Your comment is that you came for stem cells in January 2021. It's 5 months and the hyperactivity has gone down and you're grateful. Thank you so much. I appreciate, Liz, I appreciate your comments. SS Singh has said that it's all right. An anonymous attendee wants to know, for autism, do you use IMR as well? No, we are not using IMR therapy. We don't use that. We are just using stem cells, rehabilitation, and integrative therapy. If any of you have any further questions, feel free to ask. There are 20 questions. Why can't I see all of them? So Vinny Kim Soo is asking, what are the cost implications? So for the cost implications, you have to write to us because we send you the thing in writing on a public webinar. As a medical protocol, we don't discuss costing. We share medical information. For that, feel free to write to our hospital on the address we gave you, or we'll be happy to discuss the costing with you, but we don't do it over a webinar. Then Timitayu Kola Banjo says, I have a friend whose daughter has Asperger's. Will stem cell therapy correct her excesses? Definitely it will. We have treated many patients of Asperger's, and they do very well. Okay, Asperger's, because they are high functioning, they do very well. In fact, they discover certain talents of theirs, and we've had Asperger's people who've discovered strange, important things about them and are doing very well. So for Asperger's, I would suggest that you should take stem cell therapy. The email for costing, please. The email contact, CONTACT, contact @NeuroGen BSI, NEUROGEN BSI.com. In fact, let me answer it here. So what is the... Okay, Sajan says, I'm in Delhi. My bhabhi, age 65, suffers from cerebral palsy, is not able to walk properly since last few years. She's finding trouble in stopping urine and stool too many times. She is diagnosed ataxia. Okay. Sajan, I just read your question. You're talking about your bhabhi, 65, who has ataxia. Yes, we treat ataxia. I didn't talk about, because we treat many conditions, but in a talk like this, I didn't mention ataxia patients do very well, Sajan. And of course, I would request you to set up a one-on-one consultation with me, and then I can specifically answer your question. But to reply to you, yes, we can treat your bhabhi, and yes, she will do well. Masood Saidi, my father have disc replacement. Is it correct for treatment? No, Masood. Disc displacement does not get corrected with stem cells. Disc displacement requires regular conventional surgery. So Masood, we cannot help your father. Tapiva, our son has shown improvement in speech. He's interested in speaking. Oh, thank you so much, Tapiva. Good to hear from you. I hope your son is doing well. Sajan Didwani says, will stem cell therapy bring improvement in her? If yes, improvement. So I answered your question, Sajan, that we can help cerebral ataxia. Esther Mahalango says, my son is turning 14 next week and I'm planning to come in November. He's very hyper and autistic. Yes, Esther, we can definitely help your son. Although he's 14, like I said, we've treated patients from less than 2 years to 38 years old. So they all benefit. Now, the earlier we do the treatment, the better is the benefit. So yes, if we had treated him 5 years ago, he would have done better. But he will still improve. So I'm happy that you're coming, and once you come, you will yourself see the benefits. So Esther, we will be able to help your son. Lisa Stridom says, would there be any point in using stem cells for 14-year-old with Asperger's? Definitely yes, Lisa. We can, like I said, Asperger's, because they're high functioning, do very well. They have an excellent response, and even if he's 14 years old, that is good. So that's a good response. So the answer to your question, Lisa, is that there is not only a point, but it will be definitely worthwhile doing stem cells in a 14-year-old with Asperger's. Rithabil Molapisine says, have you observed any incidents of autoimmune reactions or leukemia after the treatment? The answer is no. We have done 10,000 patients, more than 10,000 patients. We do not have, and we've been doing it for the last 13 years. We've not had not one single autoimmune reaction, not a single case of leukemia. So the answer to your question, to Rithabel Molapisene, is there is no risk whatsoever of leukemia or any autoimmune reaction. Then Techno Come On says, I have a 9-month-old daughter who cried a little during birth and never cried again. She has not yet babbled. She has delayed milestones and she is alert and responds to voice. Could it be a sign of autism? Yes, this does look like autism, but it's a little early to say, because at 9 months one can't really diagnose autism, although these are symptoms. Of course, what we do is we like to do a brain scan, we like to do an evaluation, and then decide. So maybe you can set up a one-on-one consultation with me, and we will look into your child's case. But 9 years is very early to diagnose autism. Is it possible to get this recording? Nosy Madhutyana says, yes, it is possible to get this recording. Okay, so that email has been put up. If you send an email, we will send you the recording, the entire recording, including this part. All of this, all the questions I've answered will be available on a link. It will be available within 1 hour of the completion of this webinar. So please, you'll have to email us for that, and we will send you the link. So you can see that email below. It says contact@neurogenbsi.com. So please send us an email and we'll send you the link. So you can have this whole recording. You're welcome to share it with anybody else you want to. Debbie Newton says, sir, just wanted to know if the PET scan is now done at NeuroGen itself. The PET scan is done. It's not done within the hospital. It's done in an adjacent hospital. So that's just a couple of minutes away. No, we do not have a PET scan, but it's done close by, and we arrange it. So you don't have to go yourself. We will arrange it. Sajjan Didwania says, I'm in Delhi, my bhabhi. Okay, I think Sajjan, I've already answered your question. Esther, what are the chances? I think these are the same questions. Thank you. Ayula Gobaran says, thank you for the enlightenment. Thank you so much, Ayula. Thank you for appreciating our talk. Dino says, morning, my brother has LGMD and we are planning to come for therapy. We want to know how long we can keep for extended therapy to get enough results. So you can, a normal stay is 1 week, but you have an option of staying for 15 days or even a month, and you can get extended therapy. For this, you will have to, again, communicate with us. Since you're planning to come here, you must be having a coordinator. You can talk to a coordinator. But for LGMD, I would recommend a 1 month stay, and that would be good. Dino, most welcome. When your brother comes here, we'll be able to help him. So your options are a 1 week stay, a 2 week stay, or a 1 month stay. Emma, to all panelists, I'm in Ghana. My daughter is 1 year old, but she can't talk. She has only babbles. She doesn't point and can't take instructions. Can she come for treatment, or is she too young for it? So 8 months is a little young, but for us, it is not the age, it is the body weight that matters. So we can do stem cells in any child who's more than 8 kilogram of weight. I'll repeat, the age is not relevant. The body weight is. So if you're more than if your daughter is more than 8 kilograms, we can do the treatment. But again, for this, please, set up a video call with me and we can have a one-on-one discussion. Dabby Newton says, "Sis, what do you know?" Okay, this has come again. Amos Charles says, "What are the costs for stem cells and CP?" So the answer to that is, if you please send us an email at contact@neurogenbsi.com. That has been mentioned earlier. We will send you the detailed costing in writing. Thank you for the development. Tapiva says, "This gives great opportunity for children. I'm a testimony with my son. We were there in India in April. Thank you, NeuroGen." Thank you, Tapiva. Thank you. We appreciate your kind words. Then Devendra Singh asks, "Is slip disc also treatable through stem cells?" No. Slip disc is not treatable through stem cells. Slip disc requires conventional surgery. Temitau says, "Wow, that's good." Then Sivalangam Galix says, "Gene missing exons 4850 underwent recovery to affected is recovering to stem cell therapy." That's good. Yes, it can. Irrespective of the what exons are involved, stem cell therapy works on all these children. Uh, Dabby says, "It would be better if the PET scans are in NeuroGen itself. We need to travel to another hospital. That gets done. Very difficult for all the kids and parents waiting out there. Had to wait for hours, which was very hard indeed." Yes, Dabby, I understand, but unfortunately, but things are a little better now. I mean, things are very much more organized, and there is no waiting involved. You just go get the pet and come back, and our staff people accompany you. It's not possible at this time to have a PET CT scan within NeuroGen. Uh, Shivalingam Galax says, "Lishtad, age 8, living Tamil Nadu, Kattur district, affected for DMD. Any possible to cure?" Yes, yes. We have treated more than 2,000 DMD patients. So we can definitely help with DMD. Please ask them to contact us. We'll be very happy to treat Lisnath. He's 8 years old. This is the right time to treat. So DMD is completely treatable. Leila to all panel. Leila says, "My son is verbal and has ASD. Would stem cell help in stimming and social interaction?" Definitely, Leela. Stem cell helps with stimming. It reduces stimming significantly. In fact, in most patients, stimming disappears, and social interaction improves a lot. It improves dramatically. So I would strongly suggest that you consider stem cell therapy for your son, because it will help with the stimming and social interaction. And Amos says, "Congratulations for the presentation." Thank you, Amos. I appreciate that. Farah Abdul Salam just says a good morning to everyone. Shivalingam says, "Sir, our NeuroGen research institution to help provide poorer patients with medical treatment free of cost." So we have a corporate social responsibility program, and in which all orphans, any orphan child is treated free of cost. People who who are from a lower socioeconomic background, I mean, they have to make an application. We have some trusts that help, and then we put together some basic money, and we are able to treat these people without cost to them. So there is a process to apply for this, and this is only available to people who genuinely have no funds. But nobody is refused treatment at our place. If they have no funding, we will help you arrange the funding. Uh, Amos Charles says, "How long does it take to see progress after stem cell treatment?" At 3 months. You'll start seeing improvement at 3 months. Amos, 3 months after the treatment, you'll start seeing improvements. Esther Malinga says, "My son is turning 14 next year. I was planning to come in November. He's hyper and autistic." Yeah, please come. We will definitely help. His hyper will go away. His autism features will improve. Esther, I look forward to having you here. If you can come earlier than November. We will take care of him. Yeah. Vinny asked for cost implications. So again, I've said that this you can email us, and we will be happy to share that information. Can Prabhu Dayal Didwani says, can it help in 65-year patient having shaking hands, maybe Parkinson's? Yes, we'll have to evaluate. So we do not do stem cells in all patients of Parkinson's. If patients of Parkinson's, first we advise medical treatment drugs. But if the drug treatment does not work and the patient is getting worse and is getting very stiff and tight, then we do it. So in Parkinson's, we don't do it for all patients. We do it only for selective patients. Nosy Madhutyana says, my child is 4 years and just had diagnosis with ASD. 4 years is the right time to do this, Nosy. The earlier we treat, the better results we get. So our best results are in children we treat below 5 years. So since your son is 4 years old, this is the right time to do the treatment. Bring him over and we will get him to become okay. Aishatu asks, can I now know the cost of the treatment of autism, please? How much cost? So all those who are asking for cost, we have mentioned our email. You have to write to us and we send you the cost in writing. Otherwise, on first, as a general rule, we do not discuss costing on a medical webinar. Two, the cost depends on various factors, the type of accommodation, duration of stay, and all that. So it is better if you write to us and then we will answer you. Is spinal slip disc treatable? No. Rakesh, you say spinal slip disc? No. Slip disc is not treatable through stem cell therapy. That requires rehabilitation and formal surgery. Prabhu Dayal says shaking hands, head. Well, I didn't understand your question. Can you just put your question together, please? Prabhu Dayal, you just have written shaking hands, head. Please send us a proper question. Vinny Kirnau says, what are the cost implications? Vinny, we have mentioned our email address earlier. Please email us so we can send you the costing. Juvesh Bindong, my son, he was autistic, is 6 years old, he has poor speech, walks on toes, jumping, shouting, meaning. We just replied, Juving, you are the first person I replied to earlier saying that we can help you, and with the treatment, his walking on toes will disappear, his speech will improve, his jumping and shouting meaninglessly will reduce. So Nitom will have a lot of benefits. I strongly suggest and recommend you do the stem cells. Then Abimbola William says, my son can't talk or walk, sometimes eat anything. He has on the floor and it could be nylon or anything. Well, we can definitely help him. We'd like to know more about it. He will definitely, after treatment, he'll be able to talk, he'll be able to walk. And this eating habit, eating of anything, this will disappear. Because we've seen in all our patients who have this habit of eating, it just goes away. Susan Awuku says, averagely, how much is the treatment to cost? My son is 3 years. Again, about the cost, please email us. We will send you the detailed costing. Nosi says, I'm interested to do this, but I don't know where to start. Nosi, what you have to do is you have to just write that email which we have put up earlier, contact@neurogenbsi.com. Contact@neurogenbsi.com. If you send us an email, we will send you the process. Where do you go next? What is the next step? And what is the next step? And what is the next step till you come here? So we will support you through the whole way. Please email us. Rithable Mola Pisani says, how much does it cost? So again, I told you, all of you, the cost will, you have to email us for the cost. So again, Nosy says stem cell therapy and the cost. I'm in South Africa. So please email us and we will discuss the costing with you. Where do I start with him? I was told my case is cerebral palsy. So Abin Bola Williams, where do I start? You can do two things. Just send us an email, make a request for an online consultation with me, which is free of cost. We can discuss this and then we can set up a time and appointment and you can come here. Cerebral palsy is treatable. So where do you start with him? You start by reaching out to us either via email or WhatsApp. and then we will further set up a discussion with you, and then you'll have to come here. We will treat him and he'll get better. Again, Susan is asking for the cast. I just told you, email us. We will let you know the cast. And Abin Bola William says, but he can't do anything without putting his hands in his mouth. So this we will take care of. We have several patients, children with autism, who have this habit of putting their hands in the mouth. And after the stem cells, this habit goes away. This habit of putting the hand in the mouth goes away. Convulsions, you said that he has convulsions. Well, convulsions have to be treated with medications. Stem cells does not help in convulsions. You have to treat it with medications.
Hello, good morning. Doctor, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yes, you've not answered my question.
What is your name?
My name is Fatima.
Fatima, I can't see your question.
Okay, let me just go ahead and ask it
Yeah,
then.
just ask it, yeah.
Yes. My son is 7 years old. He, even though he's working, but he easily falls down, and then his limbs grabbing he doesn't grab as properly as we do.
Okay.
His grabbing is very is not that tight. And then he's having he can talk, but he stammers a lot, and it's not really stammering. You just see him, it's like he's having difficulty in pushing out the words.
Okay.
So and then of course he chews on things. But aside that, yes, and then when he writes, his writing is not as good as other people. And then of course, even holding spoon, and he feeds himself, but those are my issues. That's the grabbing, and I have been doing a lot of reading, and I read somewhere that stem cells gotten from any part of the body, like the one now that we're NeuroGen is harvesting from the hip, that it's a bit difficult for them to find their way to the brain and work on the brain. That is the brain stem cells that are more effective or advisable to be used on brain. The argument is that you can't pick a stem cell that does not know how to form brain, and then you expect it to go to the brain and work. Please, how true is that?
Okay. So let me
Thank
tell you, before we started doing stem cells, so in 1998, I went to America to learn about stem cell culture. From 1998 to 2008, for 10 years, we did work in the laboratory. And if you saw my presentation, I showed a slide from my basic science work 15 years ago, where we first proved that the bone marrow cells convert into brain cells. So I actually showed a picture of that. I don't know if you remember. It's a black and white picture. Do you remember that picture? I can actually show it to you. Okay, can you see the slide on the screen?
Yes, I can.
All right. So this small thing, this is what a stem cell looks like. And this is our work in the laboratory. And these are nerve cells. Can you see these? These are neurons. And we showed that these cells convert into neurons. This is 10 years of our work. And not only do they convert, they make connections. You can see this is connecting with this. This is connecting with this. So this is not a Google picture. This is my own research. It's my own research, which very clearly shows that bone marrow derived mononuclear cells convert into brain cells. Not only have I proven it in my own work, but there are hundreds of papers that actually show that these cells convert into brain cells. Now, we put these cells also. You can remove this. Show me the questions again. So there's no doubt about the fact that we have done more than 10,000 patients. We have done PET scans before and after, and we have shown that these cells convert and they start the repair process. So I completely don't agree with what people say that these cells don't, because See, there are a lot of people who do not know how to make. See, this whole making stem cells is a long process. You need a laboratory, a state-of-the-art laboratory, which we have. We need very trained and skilled people to make the stem cells. So most people can't make that. So then they just buy stem cells commercially from, from companies. There's some companies that manufacture umbilical cord stem cells. So those companies, they want to sell their stem cells, right? So they are not going to. So they purposely, create this whole conversation so that people don't take, bone marrow derived stem cells. Now the comparison between what we do and what these commercial, the companies that manufacture umbilical cord. See, I ask you, would you rather take an orange and, squeeze the juice and give fresh orange juice to your child? Or would you rather give canned orange juice, Tropicana or something? Which one would you prefer, Fatima? Fresh orange juice or canned orange juice?
Okay. Yeah.
So what we
I
are doing,
agree with you.
so
I
ours is fresh.
prefer the
We
fresh.
take out,
I prefer the fresh stem cells because, as you said, even the rate of rejection will be eliminated.
yes, that's
So
true.
I think yes, I agree with you totally, and your explanation is well understood.
Thank you.
So
Go on.
then my first question about my son, please.
Yeah. And what did you ask before that?
Yes, I said he easily falls when he works, and then his grip is not really
Oh yeah. So
firm.
all that will improve.
And
The
when
falls
he's talking,
will go
like
away because their walking improves dramatically after stem cells. The grip will improve. All these things will improve for sure.
okay.
Yeah?
Okay, we are planning to come on or before October then. Thank you very much, doctor.
Now, thank you, Defender. Debbie says we came for stem cells in 2018 first shot. Due to COVID, we're not able to travel. How useful is the second shot after these 3 years? Debbie, I think the second shot is useful. You should, because now once see this pandemic thing, this is going to go on endlessly, and we can't put our lives and our children's lives on hold. So the moment travel opens up, please come over. In fact, right now travel is a little better because the flights are emptier, airports are less crowded, and even over here, the number of patients is lesser, so there is a little more personalized attention. So I think you should, if 3 years are over, Debbie, you should consider the second treatment. Then Prabhu Dayal says, my son-in-law is from a brain stroke 6 months back with right side paralyzed. He's undergoing physiotherapy. Can he be helped? He's 45. Definitely, Prabhu. Your son-in-law, who's 45 and had a brain stroke 6 months ago, he will definitely improve because 45 is quite young for a stroke and it is only 6 months. So he will have definite benefits. So I would strongly suggest that you consider stem cell therapy for him. Anyway to get, Dino says, anyway to get a reduction about your VA cost if we stay for a month. Like I've been saying, I don't discuss costs on the webinar. So please email us or talk to our coordinator and we can discuss all of this. So we individualize the treatment for everyone and costs can be worked out. Grace, oh God, says, my daughter was born with hydrocephalus. She was shunted at 2 weeks. She has delayed walking but progressed well till she reached 8 years. She stopped walking and sitting. Told it is a motor neuron lesion. She's now 15 years. Grace, we can help. The fact that your hydrocephalus was shunted is not an issue. We will definitely be able to help her in walking and sitting. Of course, I can't go into details because I don't know details of the child. But I suggest you set up a 1:1 consultation with me. And upper motor neuron lesions definitely improve and they improve very well with the stem cells. So we will be able to help your daughter, Grace. Grace, you ask, can this treatment benefit her mobility? Definitely it can benefit her mobility. She's currently using KF4 from the hip. So we will we will work eventually so that her KF4 can be removed, because walking with a KF4, it's not it's challenging. It's not, you can't, there are many things you can't do. So once the stem cells go in, she will have definite improvements, and she'll be able to walk hopefully without a KFO. You mentioned she has a four-wheeler walker. Yes. So four-wheel walkers, KFOs, they are useful in the beginning. But with stem cells, once you have improvements, then you don't need them anymore. Juvesh Binong says, is it possible to treat autism using cord preserved pressure during birth? So the thing is, this cord blood stem cells which are preserved during birth, because they have a preservative, we cannot put it in the spinal fluid. This can be injected IV, and the number of cells in that is very less. It is about a third of what we need. So it is not enough cells. So even if we use it, we still have to take from the bone marrow. So I don't recommend using cord blood cells because they have preservatives. They can potentially do harm. And the number of cells is not enough to repair autism. They would be useful if there are any blood disorders of your child, then you can use those. So Juvesh, my answer to your question is that we cannot, we prefer to use bone marrow even if you're saved. Why does this? I don't know what the problem is with this.
Yeah, the battery.
Somebody help me with this. I don't know why this. I can't read it.
I like it.
It's not moving here. Who's the question? Go back to that. That's better. So Sumana Mary says, hello, my son is 8 years old, drown a lot when he it's like a struggle because sometimes he even close eyes, he can't choose eyes. Is there anything I can do to help him? Yes, Sumana Mary, we can help your son. His speech should improve. His eating, swallowing should also improve. Again, I suggest that you set up a one-on-one consultation so we can discuss your son individually. But looking at what you have written to us, we should be able to help him. Yeah. Then Techno Gamon says, I would like to get clarification from my daughter. She's 9 months old. And like I said before, she doesn't cry. She doesn't stand straight and she uses her toes to stand, only sits with support. She doesn't have social smile. What could be a diagnosis? A trained understanding, nothing but Techno, it's difficult for me to make a diagnosis on a chat like this. But she does have a neurodevelopmental issue, but exactly what the diagnosis is, we will have to do a video consultation. I'd like to see videos of hers, her inability to stand, how she uses her toes, sit with support. So there are features here of autism. There are some features here of hypoxic injury. So we can definitely help. She will improve. But for the diagnosis, you'll have to consult with me 1:1, which, like I told all the attendees, is at no cost. You just have to request a video consult and we'll make it happen. So that seems to be the last question. If there's any other questions, feel free to ask me. So Mildred, My 3-year-old is autism, trying to come in September. What dose of stem cell do you use for this age? So the dose is based on the body weight. And so we have a special calculation for the number of cells, uh, which basically depends on body weight. The age is all right. 3 years is in fact best because it's early and we get our best improvements the earlier we do it. What stem cell dose is used? It's blanket or no? It's based. Your question is it blanket or based on weight? The stem cell dose is based on weight. Trying to come with my 3-year-old with autism in September. You're welcome, Mildred. You're welcome to come to NeuroGen. I look forward to seeing you here. Will you get enough dose of stem cells from a 3-year-old? Absolutely. The youngest child we've done is 8 months old. Not of autism, but a child who had an accident. And we have got, we've done kids less than a year, less than 2 years. So we get enough stem cells that we want because based on body weight. So the lesser the weight of the child, the lesser the requirement. So we get whatever cells we need. Then anonymous attendee says, what is the success rate of stem cell therapy? So we have over 90% success rate. And all this is published in scientific papers. Our success rate is 90%. Then Harriet says, will an autistic child need to continue with therapies like ABA or OT after stem cell? Yes, absolutely. Harriet, you will have to continue with occupational therapy and ABA for some months till the child recovers completely. So yes, the answer is you'll have to continue with that. Grace says she's now 15 for a child. The dose is based on weight. Is the age okay? The age is fine. Can he be normal? Yes, he'll be close to normal. I think all your questions are answered, Mildred. Is there anybody else? Please lift your hand. You can ask more questions. I'm happy to answer any questions. Yeah, please. Anybody who wishes to ask questions, feel free to ask. We have a question in French. I've just received a translation. My son with muscular dystrophy cannot get up on his own. He doesn't walk. We made observation at the age of 13. The disease is progressing. He lives in France. We have an appointment with you in July. Tell us what are your chances. We have very good chances. Muscular dystrophy results are excellent. And I'm happy that you're coming here in July. And we should be able to treat you. Your chances are good. Basically, your chances are good. But when you come here, we will do all the tests. We'll evaluate everything. And then we will tell you precisely, exactly what improvements we can expect. So basically, muscular dystrophy, the chances are very good. The question was in French. I can't speak French, so I've answered in English. Are there any other questions? See, somebody is asked about the statistics for LGMD after therapy. So the results are very, very individual, and it depends on what stage you come in. So those who come in earlier have a better response than those who come in later. But overall, we have a success rate that goes into about 85% for LGMD overall. Okay, some do much better and some do less, but we have a 85% success rate. One anonymous attendee says, how do the potency, efficacy, and efficiency of our own cells, autologous, compare with donor, umbilical, and placental? So this is a very important question. How does the potency, efficacy, and efficiency of our own cells compare with that of donor cells? See, it's like this. There is nothing like our own cells because our own cells, the body accepts them. All right. And we have seen that when we compare our data with some of the results produced by those people who use donor, umbilical, and placental cord, that our results are much better, both clinical as well as on imaging. So we show very clear results on imaging. We do a PET scan before, we do afterwards, and we actually show the changes. This has not been shown or documented or reported with umbilical cord. Secondly, any donor cell is a cell from the outside. It is somebody else's cell. Also, it is preserved. And when it is preserved, a preservative is added. And when a preservative is added, the results can never be as good as natural. So the answer to your question is Would we prefer to take an orange and make homemade orange juice, or would we prefer to take canned orange juice? Now, canned orange juice looks better, maybe even tastier. It's attractive. There's a lot of marketing that goes into it. Nobody markets homemade orange juice. People market canned orange juice. Right? So we have found that not only is our potency, efficacy, and safety of our cells much, much better than compared to placental cells. Another thing is these placental and umbilical cells, they cannot be injected into the spinal fluid. They can only be injected IV. And when you inject it IV, it goes to the lungs first, and 70% gets deposited in the lungs. Only 30% is left to go to the brain. So for autism and for CP, we definitely do not recommend donor umbilical cord and placental cells, because when you can get good stuff from your own body, why should you go and take something which is from somebody else who you don't know, which has been preserved and which has preservatives? So I don't recommend it at all. So Emma wants to know if we can help without the patient traveling to your location. Unfortunately, no, Emma. I can make a presentation, I can consult you online, but for the actual treatment, you have to come here. I mean, there is absolutely no way I can send stem cells digitally to you. So you'll have to come here, because this is a vigorous, intensive process. The answer to your question is no. I can't help you unless you're here. Yeah. Okay, I think we've answered all the questions. I apologize for the technical glitches. I hope I could answer all your questions. In case I've not been able to answer your questions, I'm going to you are going to get an email address and telephone number from Jigyasa. Jigyasa, will you just please you're right now going to, on your screen on this, get an email address and a telephone number. On these, you can either email us or WhatsApp us. All your questions, your queries, and if you want to, I repeat, all of you are entitled to a without cost consultation. Please take advantage of that and speak to me 1:1, so we can have a personal, more, very personalized, focused discussion on your child instead of talking about general things. Are there some more questions? 3 people have raised their hand. Are there any more questions? So Madrid asks, how many autistic kids under 3 have you treated with stem cells? To the best of my knowledge, under 3 we have treated little over 200 or so. 200 of our kids are. We've actually treated over 3,000 kids with autism, and about 200 of these were in the between the 2 and 4 year age group. So that's about 200 kids. Mildred, anything else? No more questions? Okay. So one second, have you put up the email address and has it come on? All right. So the last in this chat, you'll see from NeuroGen Brain and Spine Institute to all panelists. You can send us an email at contact@neurogenbsi.com. Or you can WhatsApp us at +91 9920 200 400. We'll be happy to take this conversation forward in a more individual 1:1 consultation mode, and we are there for you. We will look after all your children. We will take care of them. Wonderful audience. Surprised, despite the technical thing, nobody left. So thank you so much. One last question. Dino says, after the therapy, what happens? I mean, how long to another checking? So we do a lot of follow-up virtually, digitally. Like every month, there'll be a telephonic conversation between us, and we'll keep following up. And then we need to have another checking between 6 months and 1 year later, where we may want to repeat the scans and things like that. Yeah. So I think I don't see any more questions. So thank you everybody for your attendance. I wish you a lovely, relaxed weekend. Take care. I look forward to doing the one-on-one consults with you. And most important, I look forward to all of you coming to India, to NeuroGen sometime. Yeah. Take care. Thank you and bye-bye. Yeah.